So in an armed robbery environment, it has to be a place that has cash, it has to be a place that has jewelry, something that's transportable very easily. First thing is you have to evaluate your business. Are you susceptible to an armed robbery? So let's think of a jewelry store. In a jewelry store, I want to have ease of access. I want to be able to walk in the building and lock the door. So the first thing that jewelers need to do is they need to have a locked front door. Ideally, they should have an internal vestibule that you can get into that vestibule, but you can't get any further. So what that does is it makes it so if one person is in pretending to shop, he can't just open the door because both the doors don't open at the same time to let his colleague come in with the weapon. So locked door at the front, you must let them in. That way there's no opportunity for them to pull the balaclava on before they get into the building. Vestibule, so that they cannot just open the door. Both doors don't open at the same time. So again, that's stopping the ease of entry and the ease of egress out of the facility. And it creates a lock-in environment if you do a vestibule that obviously it's going to be Lexan, a bulletproof grade glass that they can't be shooting through it. The next biggest deal in an armed robbery environment is that I can't take control of the building with no one knowing what's going on the outside. So this works in jewelry stores and it works in banks. You need to make it so that people on the outside of the facility can see what's going on the inside of the facility. So if you think of a jewelry store, you can't see inside. In a bank, a lot of times you can't see inside. How we solve that is we put public awareness monitors, big flat screen TVs, in a window that's out looking at the mall or is out looking at the front street. If it's in a mall, we make sure that the monitor's in front of one of those chairs where guys like me, when we're out with our wives and daughters and don't want to shop, sit and watch. What happens is now, in a jewelry environment for sure, I'm sitting in the mall and I'm actually watching inside the environment. There's no way for a guy to run around with a gun doing this. He's not in control. And again, you have to remember that armed robbers are smart guys. They're actually going to do their homework. And it's not that they couldn't disable the cameras and they couldn't MacGyver something so that something doesn't happen. Why bother? What we're doing by placing that front door that's not easy to get in and by placing that monitor so I can't control the environment is I'm diverting that criminal. He's still going to steal, but he's not going to steal in a store that has that stuff. Inside the facility, you've got to remove ease of access. So in a banking environment, we make it so that no longer do you show up to the wicket and say, I'd like $200, and they open the till. They now walk away and they go over to an internal ATM machine that tracks funding so fraud doesn't happen. They get their money. Well, the problem is I've walked away from the armed robber. He's no longer in control, right? That's the biggest deal. That stops it immediately. Because am I going to come back? Have I called someone and said there's a holdup? I might still give you my $1,000, but you're going to be apprehended as soon as you leave the facility. In a jewelry store, it's got to be cases where they are actually shatterproof. They are bulletproof glass. You can't show up with a ball-peen hammer and whack them and take everything. You can't pull your gun and the guy opens it very quickly. You've got to make it slow for them to get to the stuff that they actually want to have. So we're stopping them from being able to get into the facility. We're allowing passerby outside to see what's going on in the facility so that I can't actually take the store over. We're making it so you can't get the product. But if the armed robbery still is going to occur after all of those things, we teach staff to be very helpful, very courteous. Don't be deceitful. Don't lie. Give them everything they want. Don't use passive hold-up buttons or fixed hold-up buttons. None of that stuff. You open it, you give it to them. With our systems, when we're using Sonovision with the cameras, or even the audio, the alarm is tripped without the criminal even knowing it's been tripped. And I'm not going to teach you how we do that because that's kind of our game. But if you think of a hold-up environment in a bank, the die pack is in the money that they want. Well, the thing that's going to trip our Sonovision in a jewelry store or a currency store or wherever is part of the stuff that's going to go with them. So it's tripping the alarm. Guards do not work in these environments. You'll see them in the West Coast where they have guards standing outside of financial institutions. You'll see them where they're standing outside jewelry stores. They're all still getting robbed, Mike, because what happens is I show up with a weapon or a comb in my pocket and I put it up against you could call him a $50 an hour security guard. He won't be. And I say, I have a gun. Let's go in the store. The guy's going to go in the store. He's not going to run away. He's not going to go and call the police. If there's an armed robbery occurring inside the facility and the guard is outside the facility, does he even know? No, he can't see inside. If they start shooting or breaking, is he going to go running inside? I doubt it. He's going to run the other way. And yes, he's probably going to get someone's attention, but how long is the delay going to be? In an armed robbery situation, the best thing to do is deter the activity right from the get-go. We're able to do that because of, unlike conventional alarms that just send that red light flashing and we'll have someone respond in 20 to 60 minutes. We're watching the activity live as it's occurring. We're listening to the activity live as it's occurring. We're going directly into the police and telling them exactly what's occurring. They're responding with proper resource, which is number of units and type of units, and they're responding promptly. And then they're going to stand down so they don't create a hostage situation. Again, 1% of the criminal community commit 95% of this kind of activity, armed robbery. They're specialists. They're not just typical thieves. They know what we do. They've probably had Sonitrol demos so that they understand what we do. They're not going to play with us. They're arrogant. They think they could beat us, and everything is beatable. I mean, if you put enough resources into it. But why bother? If this jewelry store has Sonitrol and this jewelry store does not have Sonitrol, I'm going to nail that one. I'm going to stay away from this one. And cost-wise, it's not expensive to protect from an armed robbery. Cost-wise, to do a jewelry store with Sonovision and Sonitrol audio all together might be $10,000, maybe. Or at least to own across 5 years might be $200 a month. It's ridiculous. It's cheap. And everyone would do it. The problem is that not everyone knows who we are because we don't have the resources. We're not a consumable product. We don't advertise like Alarm Force does because we're not a free alarm system.